Hi, my name's Michael Margaritis. This is the cultural appropriation video assignment for intercultural communication for instructor Kristen Petrie. So let's get things started by defining cultural appropriation. It refers to the adoption or use of elements from one culture by members of another culture, often without proper understanding, respect, or acknowledgement. This can include aspects like clothing, music, symbols, language, or traditions. It can become particularly controversial when elements of a minority or oppressed culture are appropriated by members of a dominant culture, as it can perpetuate stereotypes, erase cultural significance, or exploit the original culture for profit. Now, one significant example is the removal of Elgin marbles from the Parthenon in the early 19th century. Now, this is significant to me because I am of Greek descent, and it's very important to the Greek people. I'll explain that a little further. They consist of more than 30 ancient stone sculptures from Greece, and they're held in a British museum. Now which the stones themselves date back to more than 2,000 years. Um, they were transported to Britain in the early 1800s by Thomas Bruce, the seventh Earl of Elgin. Most of the pieces are from the Parthenon in Athens, a temple which was built by the ancient Greeks, and which many people know in the 5th century BC. These classical Greek sculptures were taken by Lord Elgin with permission from the Ottoman Empire, which was in control of Greece at the time. Their relocation to the British Museum sparked debates about cultural heritage and the ethics of repatriation, as many Greeks view this act as cultural appropriation. Lord Elgin insisted he had permission to remove the sculptures from the Ottoman Empire, which controlled Athens at the time. But the original letter giving him permission has been lost, and the wording of what remains is disputed. In 2022, the Greek cultural minister accused him of a blatant act of serial theft, and the British government bought the sculptures from Lord Elgin in 1816 for display in the British Museum. But when Greece became independent in 1835, the government asked the UK to return them, and they have since not been returned. So, cultural appropriation involves some level of ignorance or apathy. That is, appropriators such as Lord Elgin in this situation, are using a cultural element for their own benefit, whether it be monetary, social, or otherwise, without fully understanding or caring about the cultural significance of what is being appropriated. Um, Modern day Greeks living in Greece and all Greeks of the diaspora are to this day upset and offended by the appropriation committed by Lord Elgin over 2 centuries ago.
We are united here in Athens with our candles, trying to send a message around the world that the marbles of Parthenon belong to Athens. We know, we Greeks, that they are not ours. They are a world heritage. But this is a world heritage which has to be a whole. And now they are split in two. So what we need is to have them back in Greece so that the whole world can see them and know what the Parthenon was like.
So personally, I'm offended by Lord Elgin's egregious actions and the fact that the marbles have yet to be returned to their rightful place, which is the Parthenon in Athens, Greece. I'm dumbfounded that the marbles are still in a British museum. They're stolen property that's being exploited to make money for the British government via tourism. And this subject not only offends me, but all Greeks of the diaspora, whether they are aware of it or not. It is cultural appropriation and slander to the people of Greece and the diaspora, future, and past, present, and future generations. Of course, until the marbles are returned one day, hopefully. I will leave you with a clip now that has made me utterly disgusted with how some people rationalize the appropriation of these remarkable artifacts, the marbles, and illustrates how one person's opinion should not be taken as fact, but as condescension and ignorance at its finest.
To say that the Greeks have removed all the sculpture from the Parthenon and are caring for it in a museum, but they're not. The West Frieze is still awaiting restoration, and quite a few of the original 5th century metopes are still on the building. One can't even think about returning the Elgin marbles to Athens until the Greeks start caring for what they already have. I'm sure they'd take great care of the Parthenon sculptures if they were returned, but if you knew a woman was abusing her child, you wouldn't let her adopt another. And that's what the Greeks were asking for.
And with that, thank you for your time. And as the Greeks say, with respect to their victory and resulting independence from the Ottoman Turks, Zito Ielas, long live Greece.